Sustainability to me is creating a planet, an earth, an environment that will last for future generations. And I'm not just talking, our great-grandchildren, but I'm talking tens of thousands of years from now. So just really thinking future-oriented in everything we do, because we know that what we're doing right now in our dominant culture isn't working. It's not sustainable, it's not gonna last. The earth will last, don't get me wrong, the earth is very resilient, but life as we know it for us humans right now will not be the same.
At Prep to Your Door, we do 100% organic plant-based meals, and they're gluten and dairy free, and they're in zero waste packaging. So everything is in mason jars, and we pick up the empty jars, the empty dirty jars every week when we drop off the new meals. All those jars come back, we sanitize them, we scrub them, and we dry them. And then the next week, we reuse those jars for the meals that go back out into the community. Another thing that we do at Prep to Your Door to contribute to a more sustainable Austin, in 2020, we purchased over 40,000 pounds of Texas-grown produce, and we use that back in our meals, so it really contributed to a circular economy here in Austin. One of the things that people can do in their everyday life to reduce your carbon footprint is choosing what you eat. And that can be as simple as going to your farmer's market and sourcing your meat and your vegetables so that you're reducing food miles, or you can take a more intentional approach and adopt a completely plant-based diet. That is shown to reduce more carbon than reducing your showers or how much you drive. Eating plant-based will absolutely decrease your carbon footprint as a whole. This is where all of our food, thousands of meals every week, is prepared. It's all done in small batches and by hand. I know this is a very small alley, but right here is where thousands of jars are washed, scrubbed, sanitized, and dried every single week. And we can sanitize about 2,000 jars in about 6 hours because we have an efficiency assembly line right here. So you come on through here, this little area and 2 chefs make all the food every single week. This is our walk-in refrigerator. It's about 500 square feet, so it's actually bigger than my living space because I live in a studio. But by tomorrow night, this entire wall will be filled with thousands of jars full of food, and we'll deliver those the very next day, first thing in the morning.
As a company in our operations, we also compost as much as possible any food scraps.
Composting is when you take organic materials, you put it all together in a pile, or you put it in a city composting and the city will take it to a pile, and they let that pile break down and let the microbes eat larger materials down, and eventually it turns into soil. So that soil can be used to grow more food. It would prevent your food from going in a landfill and turning into methane.
When we first started our business, we found that there was a ton of education that needed to go to the customer when they signed up for our food, but over time they get in the habit, and that can still be true today. Whenever we have a new customer, it takes a while to change that behavior, to leave out your empty jars when you get the new food. But what we realized over time is there's a huge need for this in the market. Customers really want to feel good about how they're spending their money. And whenever they are buying meals from Prep to Your Door, they know, hey, nothing is going in the landfill, nothing is going in the oceans. And I think that that is what keeps people coming back.
If I was going to say anything else about what would motivate people to make the switch to a more sustainable lifestyle, is I think it brings more happiness. I think it brings more joy to your life, quite honestly. I think I think most people in today's day and age are aware of, maybe not everything, but of some of the things they're doing in their life that may not be so good for the environment, and ways that they can make a change. But it's really hard to make that jump. But one thing I would say is just that once you put in the work to get there, I think it brings more joy and happiness to your life, because that guilt starts to go away. That guilt that eats at you every time you throw something in your trash, right? It starts to dwindle a little bit, and you start to feel really good about the way you're living your life. So I think that in of itself is a huge motivation.